Hey guys, and welcome back to DarkLogic Studios' Attack on Titan theories and discussions. Before we go any further, I want to give you fair warning that these videos are going to contain lots and lots of spoilers. So if you're not caught up with the manga, then what are you doing with your life? Seriously though, if you don't want spoilers, you should probably click on something else. If you're all caught up though, then let's get to it. Alright guys, so let's talk about Zeke. There's no doubt to anybody who read the last chapter that there's something very shady going on with Zeke. So what's he up to? So as we know, Zeke is the child of Grisha Jaeger and Dinah Fritz. He's Aaron's older half-brother, and he possesses royal blood. We know this from chapter 86, when we got to see Grisha's backstory, and how Zeke came to be. And what we also know is that when Zeke was very young, Grisha decided to volunteer him to be a warrior for the Marley, in order to use him and train him to infiltrate the Marley and help the Eldian restorationists. However, this plan backfired, and Zeke apparently gave his parents up to the Marley and betrayed them, ultimately getting them sent to Paradise Island to become mindless titans and basically die. So I had previously assumed that the Marley must have found out later on that Zeke was royalty. I figured that the revolutionaries must have left behind some evidence of this, but apparently they did not. And the fact that Dinah was of royal blood, that knowledge was never revealed to them, and Zeke, for whatever reason, decided to let it remain that way, leaving the Marley totally unaware of what had actually fallen into their hands. So, to find out that Zeke had kept the fact that he had royal blood a secret from the Marley all this time is quite a big surprise. I mean, after giving up his parents and spending 22 years as a warrior for the Marley, and the way that he carried out orders, and he's kind of like the head shifter, kind of seemed like Zeke was pretty loyal to the Marley. But this fact, the fact that he hasn't shared this information with them, suggests otherwise. Because if he was, he would have been completely honest with them. So why wouldn't Zeke tell them? Now, it might make perfect sense for Zeke not to tell the Marley. After all, Kruger had told Grisha that if the Marley had found out that Dinah was of royal blood, she would be subject to experimentation and forced to reproduce so that the Marley could have more Eldians with royal blood to make more powerful titans and have more control over them and a better chance of controlling the coordinate. So if that were true, then one would assume that Zeke would have been subjected to the same kind of treatment. And this is something that he may have been aware of at a young age. So maybe he kept it from the Marley just to protect himself from being treated like a science experiment or being forced to father children for the Marley. Now, one thing that's really important to remember about Zeke is that Zeke, he's not a fan of the fighting. He gets out there and he starts acting like he's playing baseball and shit, and like at first it just doesn't seem like he gives a shit, but maybe he's just trying to disassociate himself in a way from all the horrific stuff that's going on around him, kind of like in a similar way Reiner does with his split personality, except it's not so severe. So when Zeke's out there in the battlefield, he just acts like he's having fun and he doesn't care. But I think that he really does care, and he's just kind of lying to himself to try to disassociate his feelings from the situation. So with that in mind, Zeke very well may be loyal to the Marley, but perhaps only to an extent. I think Zeke really, at the end of the day, is on his own side, and he has his own goals. Now, Zeke did say to Aaron during their confrontation that he would save him, and I think it's safe to say that after laying eyes on his little brother for the first time, Aaron probably hasn't left his mind. I think he still wants to save him. Perhaps the whole reason he wants to go back to Paradise Island is for that specific purpose. He probably doesn't care about everybody else on the island. He just wants to save Aaron. He just wants to make sure that he gets Aaron, his little brother, the only family that he has left, out of there before all the shit hits the fan. So what's going on with Zeke? Is he just Has he just been kind of riding the wave this whole time, and he's just kind of going with the flow and didn't want to tell the Marley just to protect himself, and he really doesn't give a shit who wins or loses? Or could there be another possibility, a much deeper reason for why Zeke has kept this from the Marley? What if all of this, Zeke betraying his parents and becoming a warrior and getting Grisha sent to Paradise Island, what if this was all part of some ultimate plan? Maybe one that Kruger came up with. Maybe he wanted Grisha to get sent to Paradise Island. Maybe he wanted Zeke to become a Marleyan warrior. Maybe this was all planned out already by him and he orchestrated this whole thing. And Zeke all this time has been carrying out this mission that Owl had given to him. Maybe Owl came to Zeke at some point during his training or his preparation to become a Marleyan warrior, told him of this plan and what would need to be done in order to truly free the Eldians. And maybe Zeke was convinced by Owl that this was the only way to do that. So in that case, contrary to the assumption that Zeke gave up his parents because he became extremely loyal to the Marley and gave them up because he knew that they were breaking the law or whatever, maybe the real reason he gave up his parents is because it was what he had to do in order to help restore Eldia as an Eldian restorationist himself. And if that's true, then obviously he couldn't tell his parents that he was going to betray them, because ain't nobody wants to get sent to Paradise Island, you know what I mean? But Kruger had to get Grisha to Paradise Island so that he could, as Zeke put it, set the island on fire and put all of this into motion. So that when the Marley finally did attack Paradise Island, they had some way, somehow, someone to defend them. Maybe that was part of the Owl's original goal. And now after all this time, it's coming to a head. So now we're in a situation where the hierarchy in Paradise Island has broken down. There's a new government. People are no longer sheltered from the knowledge about the truth about the outside world. They know who their enemy is. They know what they have to do to protect themselves. So really, getting Grisha to that island was extremely important for the Eldians on Paradise Island. If that had never happened, then they very well could have been completely destroyed the first time Reiner and Bertolt attacked the walls. Because the only reason that they didn't complete their mission is because Grisha went and stole the coordinate and they couldn't find it. So if he hadn't done that, then Paradise Island would be done for. None of this would have happened. So maybe that could be the reason, the ultimate reason, Zeke kept this a secret. What's going on with Zeke? Is he gonna betray the Marley? Has he been planning to betray them this whole time? Is he just changing his mind all of a sudden? Does he just want to save his little brother? Does he give a shit who wins or loses? What do you guys think? I'm really looking forward to seeing Zeke and Eren meet up again. I wonder how that's gonna go. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Peace.